to you with Model Railroad Mondays for this time for the first episode. I'm Engineer Pat 5290 for the ones of you who are just now new to the channel. I'm here to answer some model railroad questions that you may have in regards to different scales and also different maybe some repair questions that you may have, and pretty much open to that. And I know some guys out there who are really looking forward to this, and you never know what somebody may ask. So I'm leaving this open now for anybody who has any questions, and I'm going to try to do this monthly, maybe even weekly. I don't know yet. So let's see who we got on. Let me read, because I'm looking at this from my phone. Ethan Armitage, hey, how's it going, man? Great to see you're on. Dreamy Deals, good to see you there, buddy. Good to see you, good to see you. If you guys have model railroad questions, please ask them. South Carolina Area Rail Fair comes in. Hey, what's going on, man? Man, we've already got some guys coming on in. Come on in, guys. Come on in, come on in, come on in. Once again, this live stream is for model railroad questions. You know what type of scale you're looking at, maybe even some repair questions that you may ask, and things like that. Stephen Casey Rail Fan, how's it going, man? So now we got a whole crowd of these guys coming in. This is great. This is great. Start asking model railroad questions, guys. Start asking them right away. Come on, bring them on in. So as everybody is starting to come on in real quick, just want to kind of briefly go over what I'll be looking for tonight. Model railroad questions only. That does not replace the Q&A videos that have that's already started. Oh, wow, it's Miss Tammy. Good to see you. Good to see you. Thank you for tuning in. Thank you, thank you, thank you, thank you. Ethan, we're going to be talking about model railroads and stuff. So tonight is mostly going to be about that. So I will actually be following the comments up here on the computer where I can have a pretty good look on what's going on. And if you have questions about model railroads and stuff, it's open. So South Carolina Area Rail Fan kicks it off. Thank you very much. What kind of train engines do you have? Oh, Trainman 1993 is in. Good to see you. Good to see you, buddy. I do have certain scales of mine. HO scale, I have O gauge, and I have a little bit of G gauge. For O gauge, one word, Lionel. For HO, I have mostly Athearn, a little bit of Atlas, and I used to have Bachmann. And of course, for G gauge, it's LGB. Brian Rock Rail Fan, good to see you, buddy. Trainman 1993, how's it going, man? Really glad to see all of you coming in tonight. I've been collecting HO since 2007. I was in the 5th grade, and I started with Bachmann. It's a good little starter railroad, a little starter brand, I should say, or Walther's train line. I do have one piece of Walther's in there as well. So, but Athearn's like one of the best out there, and Atlas is not too far behind it. Can you please help me out with fixing my big boy HO scale locomotive engine? Hey, Ethan, good to see you. Well, it depends on what it is. If you can describe the issues in the live chat, that's going to really pinpoint of where you might be able to go. South Carolina Rail Fanner. Yo, Brian Rock Rail Fan, you're from La Plata, Missouri. He's right there on the Santa Fe Southern Transcon. Trayman 1993 asks, have you seen any Bachmann 2.8.0s and A's like HO scale? I think I have seen a couple. The 80s stuff that Bachmann had was pretty good for like a starter set, but Bachmann has come a long way since then. They've improved a lot of good stuff. So if you're looking for a good starter brand, Bachmann's the way to go. That's the way I went, and then I was able to step up with Athearn. Ethan, please be more specific. Does the engine not run at all, or is it running like real glitchy? You got to be more specific in that. But going back to what Matt says, Trainman 1993, Bachmann has come a long way since the 1980s. My dad was into HO. He had Tyco, Bachmann, and some Atlas, at least the Atlas track. I think it was the old Code 100 track, and also a little bit of Athearn. So I was exposed to some of the 80s stuff through my dad. He just had a little small HO layout, and he played with it for a while. Ethan, you have to be more specific on why it's not working. You have to tell me, is it not getting current? Is it not getting traction? You have to be more specific. All right, I'll come back and check on the comments in a second. I got to check one other thing here on the computer. See what CSXG ET44AC, how's it going? Good to see everybody up here tonight. This is great. This is great. So, hang on one second. All right. Okay. So, if the engine is not working at all, I would suggest the following. You got to make sure your power connections are connected, things like that. You have to make sure your power is connected, make sure your wire is connected from the transformer to the track. It depends on what layout you have. If you have Bachman's Easy Track, it's pretty simple. CSXG ET44AC, I just would like to say this is for model railroad stuff only. This is not about big trains tonight. Okay, if it's not running on the track, it could be a wide variety of things. It could just simply be a loose wire in there somewhere. You might have, your wheels might be dirty, your track might be dirty. I would suggest cleaning the track with some rubbing alcohol. Rubbing alcohol is relatively inexpensive, and you can get it at your local drugstore. Have that with some paper towel and clean the track real good. It evaporates. And also clean the wheels to this as well. Clean the wheels to your locomotives because over time the wheels get dirty just like anything else, and they need to be cleaned. So that would be some of the simple cause. If it is not that, if nothing else is coming up, I would suggest you take this to a local mechanic, somebody who can work on HO scale. Trainman 1993 asked a pretty good question, man. Good to see you on here. How's the HOG scale no gauge layout doing? They're doing okay. I'm really glad you asked this. But keeping everything maintained right now, especially with 920 being the newest member of the HO fleet. I've been working with that one in my 1629, my 3170, and just basically keeping everything running, and also just trying to keep everything maintained. And let's see, GEET44AC says I have a New York Central Heritage unit at HO and a couple of keep coming loose on it. Oh, I know what you just saw. I know what he's talking about. Mom and son train rail fans. I know who this lady is. And she says, okay, Pat, just wanted to say I'm very proud. Hope to talk to you again soon. Thanks, Tammy. I appreciate the kind words. Stephen Casey, rail fan, asked me a question. CSXG, I'll get to your question in a second. Do you plan on getting an NS high hood locomotive at HO? Maybe. It just depends on, not only just time, but also with money. Because let me tell y'all something. Money is a big factor in this hobby. And sometimes you just have to kind of play it out on where you can spend the money and where you can save a little bit. So, yeah. Keep the coupler from coming loose on it, turn the locomotive over, and there is a screw. Depending on what coupler it is, there should be a screw right underneath. There's a little coupler plate, and a little screw. You want to tighten that screw up. Phillips head screwdriver, which is what it mostly is now. Tighten that up, and it should be fine. So that's my way. That's my my little tip there on fixing a coupler. I had the same issue with another one. It kept uncoupling, and the coupler was kind of going down. And I said, that's a simple tightening of the screw. I did it in about 10 seconds, and it was back on the road. So that's always a good thing there when the fixes are relatively simple. With some repairs, it's simple in some cases. In some cases, it may just be a motor replaced or a commutator needs to be cleaned, or maybe even a whole wheel set needs to be replaced. It varies on repairs. So there are my 2 cents on there to ask on to evaluate some of this stuff. So, yeah. Keep on asking, guys. I'll be doing this for another little bit. So if you have more questions, please continue to ask. It's open. Please continue to ask. Please continue to ask. So, going back to on some of the stuff I've got going on for the HO stuff right now, just been basically keeping everything running. So I will be doing more streams and stuff coming up soon. Okay, South Carolina Railfan asks, what class of railroads do you have at HO scale? Well, I have some locomotives in there like NS 911, NS 5642, some high hoods in there. I have NS 3329, the Maersk Sealand SD 40-2, and SD 38. I have a GP 15-1 that's in the shop right now getting upgrades. And I'd also have an Amtrak Genesis as well. Trainman 1993 asks, do you like any Lionel dwarf signals? Yes, I've always loved the dwarf signals by Lionel. Stephen Casey Railfan comes back in. Thoughts on the Admiral Cab SD 40-2s from Scale Trains? That's they're pretty handsome models there. CSX GT ET 44 ACS. Are you going to get another 60E? It's allowing time and money. Ethan says, thank you for reading my chat tonight. You are most certainly welcome. Keep the questions coming in, guys. Come on. Bring on questions. Bring on in. Bring them on in. Yeah, the 60Es have been done very well by Athearn Genesis. I've always liked the Athearn Genesis model of the 60E. That has actually been, my first 60E was 911, and that's an Athearn Genesis model. Athearn Genesis is top notch. I've always loved Athearn Genesis for their detail, their sound quality, and the amount of detail that actually goes into the engine. They really go back and take a look at the blueprints, and they also look at the paint, and the paint is exactly right. And, you know, it's so amazing what they do. And because that goes into the design department when they're looking at blueprints and they're making models of it and looking at previous runs on how they make them better. With 60Es going to CSX ET44AC's next question, you can get them from any licensed train store. You know, you can get them online, or you can go into a store that maybe wherever you live. He asks, how many engines can you run your HO scale layout? Well, I tend to like to run one at the time. Sometimes I will do two. The reason I do two is because one of them just has digital command control in it. And that is, like the 1629 is digital command control. My 1699, my Bachmann unit, I just run by itself, but that's digital. So if it's something with digital for your second unit, have your lead engine run. Your lead engine be your sound locomotive. So I'll run a couple of engines, but I would run them as a consist as one unit. And I do a video on sound demonstrations with Bachmann's Easy Command Control Center, but that's also in another video. Thoughts on N-scale trains from what Matt just asked, Trainman 1993. N-scale to me is too tiny. I prefer HO a little bit more than N, because HO you can actually see what you're doing, because N scale to me is really, really tiny. So, and N scale had interested me for a while, but to me it's just too small. I love working on HO stuff, and as well as O gauge and G gauge. Can you please show me your HO scale train? Well, I'm actually doing this right now, but there's some videos up there. But if you would like for me to bring an engine up here to let you see on the camera, I can certainly do it. But you just have to tell me which one. So, Stephen KC Relevant asks thoughts on the line of HO scale Polar Express. Yes, I love the Polar Express set that Lionel has done. Oh man, I have seen the movie and I love the sounds to it, buddy. I love that set, and that's been a real popular Lionel Sellers item for Christmas time, and I've always liked that. So yeah. Ethan has all of them HO scale steam engine locomotive. Ethan, I don't understand what you're saying, so if you will, please be more specific. If you're talking about one, I don't have any HO steam engines right now, but I mostly have the diesels. Droopy Diesel comes in. Glad to see you on, bud. What's your favorite seat in Polar Express? Well, the North Pole seat has got to be the best one. I love that scene as well as all the way around. It's a really good movie. It has Tom Hanks and everybody likes Tom Hanks. So, like to see your 60E. Give me 1 second. Guys, keep the questions coming. I'll be right back. For CSXG ET44AC, here it is. Athearn Genesis quality. And I've done a lot of videos on this unit too. It's actually my very favorite out of all the 60Es. Speaking of this model, it's one of my very favorites of all time. It has nailed this scheme. So I've got to say, Athearn Genesis did a wonderful job on doing this. Let me tell you something. I've always liked this engine for several reasons. Not only the paint, but also the details in it. I have a full review on that engine as well. And let me tell you something. I love it. So they did this one, 6920, and also 6963. And I've seen all of those in real life. But this one has got to be their best 60E. Give me 1 second. Keep the questions coming, guys. I'll be right back. Just had to get a piece of paper to write something down. Okay, Matt comes back in with another question. 2 more questions. It's come a long way to the MD60E. Yes, you're absolutely right. Any of the Thomas and Friends HO models, I have seen them. And I'm glad they're doing it in HO, because most of the time I'll see them in O gauge or G gauge. But you would never see them in an HO scale. But I'm really glad that some of the companies are stepping up in the HO department where they're actually doing that. So very, very nice right there. That the HO manufacturers are doing, which I'm very pleased with. So keep the questions coming, guys. Keep them coming in. So, yeah. Stephen KC comes back in. Favorite locomotive scale trains has done. Their ES44 ACs for CSX, the 911 and 3194 look very nice, as well as the Tier 4s that they've done. I've been really impressed with scale trains on those. I don't look at their SD40-2s as much, but I have seen some reviews on them, and they look very nice. Droopy Diesel says my favorite 60 is 6920. Yes, sir. That's another real pretty one. I think that was the first one released out of Altoona. So, Trayman 1993 asked, your favorite Athearn locomotive? Athearn has done so many good locomotives in the past. It's hard to pick a real good favorite, but let me tell you, Athearn is good on this. Her scale train is doing Norfolk Southern Heritage units. Oh, wow. I really can't wait to see what they're going to come out with. And I know Athearn has put out a whole bunch of announcements as well. Okay. So keep the questions coming in, guys. I'm very interested in all of your questions. It can be on my layout. It can be on announcements that you've heard about. It can even be just, even just railroaders' tips on even repairs like I did earlier. So I'm standing by, and you're welcome to keep on asking, guys. This is going real well. So the pilot episode is off to a great start. Keep this going. Ethan asked, do you like the big boy UP engine locomotive 4410 O gauge? Yes, that's a real pretty model. And Stephen KC comes back. Do you think Walters should do another run of the Aces and the ES44s? Oh, yes. Walters has done a really nice Ace. One thing that Athearn has never done is do an SD70 Ace in Norfolk Southern paint. They've done an SD70 M-2, but they have never done an Ace in NS paint. They've done it in UP. I think they've done it in BNSF, and I think they've done it with Ferromex, I think, but nothing with NS paint on the Ace side. Hold on, guys. I'm typing something real quick. Hang on one second. Okay, I do have a couple of questions that just came in. Trayman 1993 asks, any model power trains you like? Well, I have seen model power in years past. It's still a pretty good basic line, which I've always liked. Budget friendly. And Droopy Diesel asks, what's your favorite Union Pacific Heritage? Are you talking about the actual model, or are you talking about the real deal? Now, I do know Athearn has done some models, I believe, of those Heritage units in the past in HO. Like I said before, Athearn has done a lot of good releases within the past several years. They've really stepped up their game. All right, another question comes from CSXG ET44AC. Did they do ACUs? If you're referring to Athearn, yes, they did the NS versions, and they've also done the Canadian Pacific versions as well. I think those are getting ready to be released to stores. I'm not sure, but I do know they went quick. The real deal, I'll have to think about that one. If you would like to ask that question, you can go on my Q&A prompt for January that's on the channel. This one's for model railroad stuff, but like the real deal stuff, oh yeah, throw it in there because that gives you a pretty big prompt in there where you can ask questions. This one's just for model railroad stuff, announcements, layout tips and basics and repairs, maybe opinions on different announcements. that's what this one is for. I'm really glad that a lot of you are tuning in on this. This has actually been a very, very good start so far, which I'm very pleased with. Athearn Genesis did release ACUs. I think this is the first run they've ever done of them, because they did NS versions and they did CP versions as well. So, yeah, which I was really glad they went out with it on that one, because that's a model that nobody has even done. Athearn Genesis has been the only manufacturer of them, and I'm really surprised that nobody else stepped up. But because a lot of other brands out there have done some unique releases, you know. Let's see. Stephen KC comes in. CSG ET44 AC, they actually did. Are you referring to scale trains or Athearn trains, Steve? Now, Matt, I don't know where you're talking about. Now, there was a place where I live called Mike's Trainland that closed when I was a little boy. That closed when I was 2 years old. I don't remember going into the store. This is where I live. Hang on a second. I had a little bit of a notification on my phone. Okay, yes. Oh, yeah, Steve, I know what you're talking about now. Yeah. I know exactly what you're talking about. Yeah, I forgot Athearn did a run of those. So, yeah, Athearn has really gone out on a lot of their models of improving things, you know, making their reliabilities better, things like that. And the Genesis motor is really nice. It can pull. Even the ready-to-roll motors are really nice. They pull. John C. Regan comes in. Good. What's going on, man? What are you talking about with MTH? Are you talking about some of the releases they did? I'm trying to figure out what page you're on. CSXG ET44AC, yes, I have confirmed that. They did the only first run of those right now. And I think they're getting ready to be released to stores. Which I'm really glad to see that they actually went out and did another rebuild. Yeah. But, Steven asks, do you like Rapido model trains? I have heard about them. I'm just not as familiar with them as I am with Athearn, Atlas, Bachmann, scale trains. Intermountain is another one that has really become a rising star. So, let's see what else is coming. I just got a couple more notifications in. Hold on a second. Got Trayman 1993 saying like the SW1500s. And John C. Reed comments back with Matt on this from his Mike's MTH. I believe the other user is referring to. Okay. Because there could have been one or more, because the one I think of is here in Virginia. It was about 20 minutes from my house, really, and that was a place where some of the O-Gate stuff I have came from. So, oh, Matt, it's no worries. If you got me confused, no worries, buddy. Don't worry about it. Don't sweat it. You're good. And I'm agreeing with CSXG ET44AC on this one. Athearn Genesis is the way to go. It's the way to go. Because you have Tsunami 2 sound, you have LEDs, you have very good detail. I'm not criticizing anybody else out there, but I'm going to say right now that Athearn Genesis is top notch. So, it's a little bit on the pricey side, but let me tell you something. You get a good quality model for your dollar. Oh, Brandon Brickhouse comes in. Good to see you, man. And yes, I am. So, Athearn Genesis is the way to go here. I know for some people it's a little bit on the expensive side, and I get that. Because you can't spend amount of money on some things. And, you know, that's understandable. But sometimes the ready-to-roll models are still... I mean, I have 3 or 4 Athearn ready-to-roll models. I have had 0 problems with them. And let me tell you something. They pull pretty darn well. Even the detail is not as much. It is budget-friendly. Dreamy Diesel comments, yes, Athearn Genesis has made the BNSF Ace, but they have not done a Norfolk Southern Ace. John C. Regan follows up with this. All the Athearn lines are fantastic, and I agree 100%. Most of my fleet is Athearn. I do have one piece of Atlas. I have one piece of Walthers. But other than that, my fleet, straight Athearn. I've always been familiar with Athearn. I've always had good luck with Athearn. And some train stores, if they have a repair center, they can repair Athearn trains. When I get things fixed, I try to take it to somebody who's pretty good. And let me tell you, trying to get something fixed like that is actually good because you can get an education from the guy that's repairing them. Because he or she will tell you, hey, this can be fixed and this is how this works. And you know something? You learn something else with model trains every day. It's pretty cool. This is not a Zoom meeting, Ethan. This is a YouTube live stream. I'm writing something down, guys, and I apologize. Keep the questions coming, guys. Keep it coming. This is good. So, speaking of a YouTube live stream, for the ones who have done it, are familiar with this, and for some people that may be just new to this, I will explain this real quick. It's real simple to do. Just go on the YouTube, just go where the little video icon is, and just go from there. So it's really simple to do, and I actually love doing it. So this is wonderful. This is a wonderful little source. All right. Good night, Matt. Thanks for all the good questions. I greatly appreciate it. John C. Regan comes in with a question. My apologies, I may have missed this, but have you uploaded a recent NS Loco update and your favorite O-scale model? If you're talking about the real deal, John, I used to do a lot of that, but I don't do it as much anymore because I don't have a lot of time. And favorite O-scale model? Are you talking about steam or are you talking about diesel? And it also depends on the brand that you're talking. Are you talking about Lionel or are you talking about Atlas? Just want to be clear on that. And Brandon Brickhouse says, put two NS Blue train engines together, as he says in the comments, as the Norfolk Southern Blues Brothers. Hey, that's pretty cool. I never thought of that. Overall between the two. Okay, thank you for the clarification. For Lionel, I gotta think. Now for MTH, it was a lot of their EMDs, like their M-2s were always pretty. They're like GB40-2s, GB38-2s. Lionel did a pretty good rendition of the A's back in the late 2000s that I really liked. They had a really good K5LA horn on there, which is music to my ears. Which is always real good. Their steam engines, I've always liked their models of the 611. I've always liked it. I know some people that do have them, and that is a collector's item. I know some people like to run it, but let me say this much. That is a pure collector's item. Oh, wow. Athearn may be doing an 80 Mac. That'd be kind of cool. Stephen Casey really comes back and do you find Menard's O-scale rolling stocks interesting? Yes, and I will tell you why. I am really glad Menard's entered the market because everybody's known for them for like garden tools and all that. But for them to have a separate line of O-gauge trains with accessories, oh man. I was really stunned at this. My parents were stunned when I told them. They said, Menards? I said, yeah. I mean, they have gone all out with their stuff. Oh, man. I mean, they've actually gone back to the old Lionel 027 toy for some of the freight cars, which I think is really cool. Droopy Diesel comes back. Athearn Genesis has made some UPES 44s. His favorite is 7400, the breast cancer unit. I'm really glad they did that unit. Thanks for answering, Patrick. Have a blessed night. Thank you, John, for coming in tonight. I greatly appreciate it. So we'll continue this for another few minutes to see what other questions you may have. So I will be keeping this rolling for another few minutes before we end the live stream, and we will continue. So continue the questions coming in, guys. Please bring them coming in. Bring them on, because I'm always on here for a little bit. And one thing I will ask you guys to do, since it seems like some people have had some fun with this. Just wondering how often you guys want me to do this. Do you want me to do this weekly? Do you want me to do this monthly? This is just a test run to see, where we stand with it, to see how many people are coming. I know it's a little bit later tonight, and I apologize, but I'd like to try to do this a little bit more. So, what structure is your favorite from Menards? Stephen Casey Railfin comes in with another one. They've done some good all-around buildings, and Eric's trains on YouTube. He does an O-gauge layout that spans like 3 or 4 rooms of his home. It's a really good layout, and he's been on YouTube for at least 10 or 15 years. And I remember when he first got started with his O-gauge layout, and I was a kid in elementary school when he got started. It is a massive layout, and let me tell you something. He does reviews a lot of the time. He does his Christmas Bonanza once a year. He does a lot of good stuff, and Eric's layout is really impressive. If you have not subscribed to his channel, please do so, because let me tell you, Eric's work is magnificent. I've never seen anything like it in my life. So he has some Menards on his layout. I think a few buildings though, but Eric is very talented, and you ought to look at the layout that he has, and it's really impressive. It's really impressive on what he has done. So, I'm still going to be open for another few minutes, guys. If you have any more questions, please continue to bring them on in. I'll be glad to answer some more questions before we close out tonight. So, the live chat is still open, so feel free to answer any question, and I'll be glad to answer any questions. Excuse me. While we take this little bit of a break on the live chat here, I just want to put out a special thanks to the fellow that actually inspired me to do all this, Nick's Crossing. He inspired me to do a live chat. He has done some in the past, and I've gotten the inspiration from it. So I just would like to say thank you very much for providing me this inspiration. Please give him a subscribe as well. And he has some O-gauge as well. And he mostly has Lionel in his collection. With Eric, he has MTH, Lionel, Atlas, and a little bit of Weaver in there as well. Excuse me. Stephen KC comes back in. Do you think Bachmann should have put 3rd Gen K5HLs on their ES44s? Yeah, to sound a little bit more prototypical. Bachmann's sound is not bad, but Athearn Genesis is more prototypical for the HO side. Atlas, this is pretty good, but Athearn's Tsunami 2 sound has got to be the best yet. So, yeah. And with their new Athearn Ready to Rolls that are going to come out, I think, next year, they're going to have Tsunami 2 sound and LEDs. One of my friends that I visit a couple times a year was really surprised like I was on that note. And he said, wow, I can't believe this. I said, well, they're putting the Genesis tooling in Athearn Ready to Roll models. So this is going to be a really good move for Atherton, in my opinion, because this, I think it will attract a lot more customers in there. So, hey, you just never know. You just never know. So, but anyway, well, guys, I'm going to go ahead and call it a night. Drew B. Diesel says, I can't wait to get back to school tomorrow. So glad to see all my teachers. Yes. I know some of y'all are getting off of school, getting ready to go back into school. Good luck this year with all your grades and stuff, which I'm really praying and wishing for the best for you all. It is with that we end tonight's live stream. I just would like to say thank you to everybody who attended tonight. I know it did start late, and I do apologize. I did have some circumstances I had to take care of before doing this. So, so thank you very much for that. We will be doing this again. I may end up doing another one next week. It could be maybe the next couple of weeks. I will be doing another one of these. It seems like that a lot of you seem to like this. This is the foundation right here. And your questions that have come in tonight have really built this foundation. I'm very, very impressed. So I will be doing another Model Railroad stream coming up soon to answer questions. So it may not be on Mondays, but it may be on something new. So, but I'm really, really glad that this has been a hit. So I had to take a notification off my phone real quick. So anyway, guys, that wraps it up for Model Railroad Mondays for the pilot episode. So I hope you guys enjoyed this. So just be sure to remember to smash that like button and drop a comment down below. And please hit that subscribe button. Ring the notification bell when you get the latest updates on all the projects I'm working on. Not only live streams, but also with other things that are going on. So I should be having some more videos coming out here real soon. And it is with that we end the pilot episode of Model Railroad Mondays. Thank you all very much for watching. I'm Engineer Pat 5290, and I really hope you enjoyed this. And I look forward to seeing you again soon. All right, guys. Thank you guys for watching. This is Engineer Pat 5290 saying over and out for now.